Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today, let's go guitar hunting on eBay. So we'll start off with some Gibsons and see where we end up here. Now, it's been a big trend that I'm noticing that cheaper Gibson guitars are no longer selling as cheap as they used to be. Like, Les Paul Studios are hard to pick up for under like $850, $900 anymore. And it was just a year ago, it was like $550 to $700 would get you your pick of a whole bunch of stuff. And I think that has to do with a bunch of people being at home wanting to pick up music, so they want to get a quality guitar. But hey, that's not a bad deal on a brand new 2020 Unburst. These things are $2,500 brand new. Sometimes you can find a B-stock model, or a demo model as it's sometimes called on like Sweetwater's website, for about $2,250. And hey, that one even has a pretty nice top. As long as it hasn't been broken or anything, it doesn't appear to be. Yeah, only played a few times. That is a great way to get a deal. I think this guy is pretty smart actually doing an auction. I'm always scared to do auctions because I would rather have control over what the final sales price is, even if it means I get a little bit less for it, because some people can go crazy in auctions. So I bet this will get bid up to like $2,350 because people will want that nice top. I mean, it doesn't look so good in this photo, but you can really tell at certain angles this one really comes to life. But even in a worst case scenario, I don't see that not selling for $1,800. Here's a 2015 Les Paul Jr. Once again, it's got 2015 specs. Well, maybe not. Okay, it does have the wide nut width, but at least it's a regular nut. And you've got regular tuners with that little Les Paul hologram there. $1,000, I think it's a little bit high for a 2015. I don't like that seam line being right there. Is that a 3-piece body on a Junior? Maybe we'll take a look from the back. Well, they did a pretty good job matching the wood grains. It looks like it's just a 2-piece, but it's strangely off-center. I don't know if I like that. And this Tribute, it's like a step below the Studio. It's got a satin finish and stuff. I think these are like $1,300 brand new. So I mean, it's an okay price if you want a Tribute, but not any type of a deal. I've seen this thing get relisted so many times. I mean, $12,500 seems crazy, right? But there's not that many of these Jimi Hendrix versions. I would love to document one of these, but I just don't see enough special about this particular one to pay the crazy prices. I mean, sure, it's got the cool split diamond inlays. You've got the Jimi Hendrix signature on the pickguard, and it was a limited edition run of 400. Oh, I guess that's part of the Hall of Fame series. But my favorite feature about this one is the way that they've done the Gibson mother-of-pearl logo there. But I always thought this was just like a strange run of guitars, but Hendrix actually had one that looked exactly like this from the late 60s. I think he custom ordered it or something. But once I figured that out, that's when I was like, yes, that is super cool. But what else do we have interesting going on here today? Well, custom light, you don't see those too often, especially 2016. I think a lot of people get confused about these, thinking that they're actually custom shop Gibsons. I know there was some confusion back when they were brand new. I used to buy these things all the time because they were plentiful on the used market. Not so much now. That's pretty much dried up and you have to pay quite the premium for these guys. I mean, this one, you can see it's got some oranging to the side, some finish checking. They still want $2,000? That's crazy. However, it'll probably still sell. The years to get for these guys are 2013 and 2016 because they get the custom emblem on the headstock. Now, there's nothing wrong with the other ones. I just don't like the crowns. But the flower pot version's pretty cool. Ooh, this is an auction to watch. A Golden Era Studio because of the ebony fretboard. Looks kind of beat up towards the bottom. We've got a few replaced plastics. The rest of the guitar looks all right, and it's in Oregon, Ohio. Anything under $750 is a pretty okay price on this one. So we'll leave it up to the bidders in about 5 days to see if that's a good deal or not. Here's something interesting. So they're claiming it's a 1987 cream factory installed Kahler tremolo. Let's take a look. The way to tell it's factory installed sometimes is if it says Gibson. But Gibson did sell those, so just because it says Gibson does not mean it's factory installed. If you're going to make that claim, you need to show a photo of that removed so we can see if there's paint on the inside or not. Now, there will also be unscrupulous dealers that'll paint it in to make it look like it's factory original, but honestly, it's not worth the hassle and trouble. Because if it has a Kahler, regardless if it's factory or not, it's going to be worth less than one that doesn't have one. Well, that appears to be in pretty good shape. I mean, even with the Kahler, it'll probably still get about $2,500. That one's in Marion, Ohio. Everything's in Ohio this time. So that's another one that the bidders will probably, take to the moon. So maybe the auction route is the best way to go on this one, but that one's pretty clean. I could see it listing at a dealer's for like $3,500 and them taking offers. I'm not a huge fan of the Kahlers though. I try to avoid them when possible, but certain models, they just pretty much only came with those when it came to those strange 80s guitars. These Les Paul Studio Platinums are pretty cool, but I don't really want to pay that much for one. But if it's truly in mint condition, maybe a collector that doesn't have one yet would. Oh hey, this one's back up for sale. Somebody sent me a help request on this one at one point in time. I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, and this guy keeps continuously taking it on and off for sale, trying to seem like he doesn't want to sell it, even though somebody's trying to actually bargain with him to buy it. But it's just kind of an interesting one. They call it TV yellow, but honestly, this looks like just regular yellow because you can't see through to the wood grain. Well, maybe you can. Just depends on the light. Okay, yeah, I think I see it. It's either that or we're seeing reflections. What this guy needs is a nice up-close photo. That way we could tell for sure, because if you can see through it, I could see somebody paying the premium for it. But it's not a custom shop, and it's a 1992. Well, that's before the custom shop anyways. But it's not prehistoric. So normally $2,500 it'd be about the cap. But, that's a slightly special finish. That's a pretty nice looking Epiphone. Oh yeah, a few days ago I saw this one of those tie-dyes that we were talking about a couple episodes back. This has got to be one of the worst ones I've seen. It's just like a puke green and yellow color mixed together. Oh, poor guy. He's the original owner, so he's kind of blinded in love with it. But I don't see that one selling for much more than maybe $2,000. Now here might be some sort of a deal. Gibson Les Paul Dc. This appears to be the cheaper variation. But what color is it? Is it black? Yeah, black. And it's got a headstock crack. Okay, not any type of deal anymore. Goodbye. What's going on here? Did something go wrong with their photo editing? What? Why? I know sometimes I don't do the best cropping jobs, but that's just because I have such limited time. What were they trying to accomplish with this edit? Maybe it's just an attention getter piece. I clicked on it, right? That's nice. You guys see that fretboard? That's got some interesting wood grain to it. Not $1,500 special, but pretty cool one nonetheless. Now there's a pretty good price for a 2015 traditional. Again, you've got 2015 specs, but I think that's priced fairly, especially if you could talk them down just a hair. That could be a good deal for someone. I've had quite a few people send me this Spotlight Special 84001. I'm kind of salty about this one. I was actually in the process of buying this one before this guy came and sniped it out from under me. This one was originally in Canada, and this guy was in Canada, so it was much easier for him to sell it to him. The thing that kind of scared me away on this one is unfortunately it's got some moisture damage up here. The lacquer's kind of bubbled up, which it's a real shame. I mean, sure, it's number 1, but it's number 1 of 1984. So it's one of the last ones made. It would have been cool to have documented, but I'm not too upset by it. But the thing that made this one so unique is it has such a nice flamey top, and it's not pinstripey. Usually these dark antique sunburst ones are more pinstriped. Sometimes the antique natural ones can get close to this much, but usually the antique sunburst, they cap out around 6.5 to 7. That's the one bad thing about my channel. When I talk about models I love, I accidentally inflate the prices. So yeah, I can't really buy Spotlight Specials anymore because I'm not willing to pay more than I used to pay for them. It usually takes a couple of years for me to get around to buying all this other stuff. Like Les Paul Customs, I just can't buy them for what I used to just even a year or so ago. I mean, the cheapest you'll get a custom anymore is like $2,500-$2,800 when it used to be like 18 to 2. Okay, see, there's a better price studio. That's a platinum. The big question is, headstock break? Yeah, it looks okay. Looks like we got some rubbing. I think I was looking at this one on Reverb. The big question is, does it have the case? Yep, it does. Bahama Blue. That's always a cool color from the 80s. Not many people know about it. I would like to document one. I've came close like 2 or 3 different times. It's one of the cooler custom colors. I would love to find a Les Paul custom in that finish. That's not a bad Studio Deluxe. Let's go ahead and switch to the auction. See, is there anything ending soon here? No good. No good. That doesn't look too bad, but is that a fake? Nah, okay. It's just a strange photo angle that makes it look weird. I still remember when these things were blown out. I think at the blowout price, they were like $1,350, $1,400. But then, now that they're all sold out and it's been a few years, I mean, anywhere between like $1,600 to $2,000 is typically fair game. Some people ask more. So if you really want one of these ESLPs, that's the reason why this isn't going to sell. He doesn't have it advertised correctly. ESLP is the proper term for this one. They're not my favorite guitars. They don't quite feel like Les Pauls in my opinion, but they sound pretty close. I did a sound comparison video once. This silly flying V we talked about last time. It's so tempting. I just wish it was a little bit cheaper with those S1 pickups in it. Oh, there's kind of a rare one. The Cloud 9 series. I like them. It's kind of a special chambering to them. This has a nice big eye in the wood grain. P90s. I don't know if I want to pay $4,000, but I think like 32 I'd be interested. Looks like I'm starting to see ones that I've already seen before, but we'll end it off with this cool one. This is such an interesting series. There was recently a Flying V that I tried to buy that was in the same finish. And seeing this one at auction for $14.99, I was getting super excited. So this is like a metallic finish. They did quite a few different ones between Flying Vs, Explorers, and a few other shapes. I'll pick one of these up one day and we'll talk more in depth about them, but take a look at that truss rod cover. It's quite interesting. So seeing this one as cheap as it was, I was getting really excited. I mean, you're looking through all these photos, everything's looking good. Then I saw this. It's like, why is it so faded? That's not how it's supposed to be. I mean, I get it. These things are underneath the lacquer, but not underneath the colored lacquer. So what's happened is there's been a crack. I think it's like right here. It's split down the headstock, so they glued it back together. Then they did a touch-up overspray over top of it. So it still looks okay, but unfortunately your serial number is very faint. Yeah, there you can see that crack. That is too unfortunate. I mean, look at these things. Yeah, they did the Futura shape on top of that, but those are the 4 colors. And they only made a couple of each. We're talking like 10 or 15. But I have to say the green finish is definitely my favorite. And at a starting bid of $14.99, I think it's priced appropriately for what it is. If it didn't have that headstock repair, you could probably get close to $3,000 for it, maybe even more if it was in cleaner shape. Because you gotta remember, it's a custom shop guitar, so that is actually a pretty good price. I would be interested at about $1,100. That'd be fun to throw into the Trade Tuesday series. I would just choose not to care about the headstock break. Alright, troglodytes, thank you for hunting for some guitars with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow for the Flightless Bird. Take care.